can see it on NFL Network. I'm alongside Mike Robinson and Mike Garafolo and Bart Scott. Of course, 11 years of NFL experience joining the Good Morning Football Weekend crew. What's up, guys?
This is cool.
Where are you from?
Yeah, where you from? Hey, Nate, man, filling in for you, dog. Hope everything's cool, man.
If you're Nate, then who's Bart?
Yeah, who are you, Bart?
I don't know.
You Kyle?
No, I'm Champ. I'm Champ from the Three Stooges. I'm the cousin that comes over every once in a while.
I
That
like
makes
it.
me curly.
Well, you're here now.
Bold.
We've got a lot to talk about. The Cardinals, of course, hosting the Broncos in Arizona, and it's time for the lead block.
Let's get it. Lead block. You got to coach this
Lead block.
Our guy on Thursdays is Omar Ruiz, and here he is in Glendale
Sunny
at
out there,
State
Omar.
Farm Stadium. Nice and early as usual. Both teams have struggled to stop the run this season. That's one of the many things they have in common as both squads trying to get a win here under the bright lights of Thursday Night Football. What are they each saying about how they're planning to change that tonight?
For the Cardinals, it's all about discipline. They gave up 155 yards to Latavius Murray and the Vikings this last Sunday, and they're able to see on tape exactly what they've been doing wrong, not shedding blocks to fill those holes, not having trust in the guys next to them in order to make those plays. For the Broncos, they've been struggling in their nickel defense package in stopping the run. And Coach Vance Joseph saying it's more of an attitude. He says a lot of the times the players are in position to make the plays. They're simply not making the tackles. He said tackling is all about an attitude, a want to in those situations. He told our James Palmer earlier in the week, if they're in a back alley somewhere, you got to be able to make that tackle because you want to make that tackle. So an attitude adjustment certainly necessary for both of these teams to get that under control tonight.
With a guy like David Johnson, obviously underwhelming to start the season, with both teams struggling to stop that run. Is that a weakness that they're going to try to exploit tonight, and how?
Yeah, certainly David Johnson knows he's one of the bigger surprises in the NFL with his slow start. He said with the Broncos giving up 200 yards rushers the back-to-back games, he feels even more pressure to break out and produce this week. He said he's up for that challenge. He knows everybody's looking at him. He wants to be the guy to help uplift this offense. The Broncos saying similar, that they want to get the run game going against this Cardinals defense. Both teams preaching having more opportunities. For the Cardinals, it's converting on third down. They were 0 for 10 against the Vikings. If they can just extend their drives and get more running opportunities, obviously their production will be higher. For the Broncos, it's getting off to a faster start. They can't fall behind so quickly in games and have to pass to get back in it the rest of the matchup. So they're looking to take advantage of not falling behind and running the ball more effectively. And before I throw it back to you, Kay, just want to point out where we are. The Patrick Tillman statue is right behind us here. Of course, the former Cardinals star safety who signed up for the Army after 9/11 and of course, later died in combat. A beautiful tribute here out front of State Farm Stadium here. There's a fountain with his name. Always a great reminder here when we're in the desert of the sacrifices he made and the special man he was. So just want to take a little time this morning to pay tribute to him before we send it back to you in the studio there.
Amazing insight, as always, and appreciate you pointing that out. A very special place and special memory there for all of the fans out there in Glendale. We'll get back to Omar Ruiz all throughout the show here, but we got to come back to NFL Films here at the breakfast table because I love what's going to happen tonight. You have two all-pros, right? You have Von Miller, you have David Johnson, both underperforming, both needing a win for their teams because, let's face it, it's lose or go home, after tonight with these records going into this season. So you have David Johnson, who doesn't have a 100-yard rush game, right, since week 11 of 2016. Von Miller, who's coming out and clapping all over the media. Which slump busts tonight?
Well, I don't know who slump busts tonight. I don't even know how to say that, but I think I'm going to say the Denver Broncos come away with this win tonight. Why? Because when they have a dominant defensive front when they're motivated, right? When they're motivated, and Von Miller, and he seems motivated this week to go out there and make plays. This guy, he calls himself an assassin, right? Because it's not just that he gets after the quarterback. He takes the ball away from guys. He makes plays in the run game and in the passing game. The only thing with Von, I need to see it every single play, not just on third down or not just when the game seems to be in a big-time situation. So when I look at these both teams, I trust the Denver Broncos defense a little bit more.
Well, the Justice League Batman needs the Justice League to come along with him because he can only do one thing. They're running at him, they're chipping him, they're putting the tight end off the ball. They're going to have to be disciplined, but also they're getting run on and they're getting pushed off the ball. Pecco and Wolf, these are two older guys. This is an older, aging defense, and they need a shot of youth, and that youth has to be Chubb. Chubb has to be that guy that brings the
came
energy.
On last week,
yeah, and what you got to do when you're getting pushed off the ball, now you got to start stirring up the pocket. You got to try and get guys penetration because they're getting stuck on blocks. I mean, the Jets, that was just come on, man. Like, checking IDs all day. You're not 21. You got to get out the club.
Crowell runs for 200 yards. Gurley, okay, I'll give him 200 yards. It's Todd Gurley.
But Bilal Powell ran for almost 100.
Yeah, so what reason do I have to believe that David Johnson can't go and do that same thing? Because Von Miller, you could say he stops the run a little bit. It's not the reason he's out there. He's out there to rush the pass.
But
he can set the edge.
He'll
play the run.
Yeah, he'll put his nose in there. But I'm looking at how he's just addressing this whole demeanor of the defense. When he comes out the other day and he says, we're going to kick their, can I say it? I don't even know if I can say it. You can say ass? All right, you can kick their ass. That's what he said. It's a quote. Putting it in air quotes, okay? So it's not me saying it, it's Von saying it. That's his attempt to let the rest of the line.
Could be his last attempt.
I love how you're smirking.
In case of emergency, break glass. Like, come on, guys, man, back me up on this one, man. I put myself out there. Sometimes because the respect that that team has for Von Miller, what he's meant to that organization, the outstanding player that he's been. He's the leader of that team. So they're going to try and rally with him. I just don't know if they're capable. They have a talented defense. I don't understand why they're this bad. You think about they have two good guys in the middle. Pecco's, a Haloti Ngata type of clone. He's a big, massive man that understands how to play the run. That grew up in that division, the AFC, where they had to learn how to stop the run because everybody's trying to run the ball that way. They have to try and get creative. It's all hands on deck. So if you can't get it with the front seven and they're running out of nickel, you got to get that safety to hang down and put it on the outside corner. Say, hey, listen, it's going to be tough sledding for you guys. I'm going to put on your back. You guys got to lock these guys outside because we need that extra man in the box.
He's been running up the gut unsuccessfully, David Johnson, all season, right? They're not getting into space like he needs. So I just feel like with this matchup, that's what he's going to do.
That's something I wonder about, too, how healthy he is. And then when you're running the football and you're not seeing the passing game make any plays downfield, and you're back there and you're seeing a loaded box every single time you line up, it gets discouraging, right? It does, and it makes you sometimes not fight for those extra yards like you would have if your offense was rocking. So I think Josh Rosen, this offensive line, they have to do more in the passing game to kind of get some space in the run game.
All right, so you bring up the offense. Let's talk offense for the Broncos. You've got Case Keenum there. What is his biggest problem, his biggest nightmare from last night, waking up today, dreaming about kickoff a couple hours from now in Arizona?
Well, to me, I think the biggest issue with Case Keenum right now is, look, I think now we're starting to realize why Zimmer last year, Mike Zimmer with the Minnesota Vikings, didn't just come out and say he's our starter. He just had to earn it every single week. He has, 8 interceptions right now, only threw 7 last year. Yeah. He already has more this year than he had last year. And I think he played so well last year because the Minnesota Vikings didn't just give him the job. Each week he had to go out there and prove that he was supposed to be the starter for that football team. And it seems like with the Denver Broncos, he came in early, won the job. It was all his. Everybody was talking about, this is our guy. So now he just feels like he can go in and just throw it in the tight windows, take some chances.
It's about him now.
It's about him now. And I think maybe they should have had another guy in there to kind of push Case Keenum to get him to play better.
Exactly. When you don't have anybody pushing you, then you know that there's no repercussions for your bad play. And he's trying to be great because now, okay, I got 2 years, $18 million a year. Now I can go out here. I got job security, so now I can show how great I am. See, last year he was playing complimentary football. He was making sure that he was leaning on that Minnesota defense, running the ball. And now he's like, okay, now it's about me. Let me show everybody how great I am and I deserve the money. Let me see if I can extend this run that I'm on because he's been a career backup. And this is the first time a team said, hey, you're our guy. So now he's feeling empowered. So now he's trying to show everybody why he's been empowered. But he have to realize what got him here. What got him here is being efficient with the football, taking shots down the field.
Not making mistakes.
And then he has the running game to support that, to get the 8th man in the box. But now he believes a little bit in himself. He needs to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I got to do what I did well last year.
Now, Bart, I don't think it was on purpose. I don't think he's consciously saying, I'm just got to go out there and do this. I just think it's human nature.
Well, that's what I'm sitting here. I was about to defend Case Keenum because I'm sitting here saying that's a little unfair. You're sitting here and you're saying from the outside he's getting paid. He's got a.
But we're just speaking about the truth of the matter.
I understand that, but
his confidence level up.
It's not a conscious thing. It's not like he's sitting there saying, look at my fat wallet this year.
I don't think it's like that. No, I don't think it's like that.
He went from crushed cotton to cashmere. He's like, man, I'm good. It's like, it's time for me to ball. Show everybody how I ball. Them suit game got better, everything.
What do you think, Garofalo?
I'm looking at this game tonight, and I'm seeing him going up against the defense that, Patrick Peterson, Chandler Jones, may be a little bit better because we've been focusing so much on the offensive side of the football. I'm looking at this defense. This defense has had to play more than any defense in the league this year. Time of possession for the Cardinals offensively is 24 minutes and 11 seconds this year. That is the lowest in the league by more than 2 minutes. Whoa. So this defense has had to pick up the slack there. Last year, the lowest time of possession for any team, 27 minutes and 9 seconds. So they're playing more than 3 minutes a game, more than other teams. So on top of that, they've given up only 5.4 yards per play. That is 8th or 9th in the NFL. So it's been a good defense. They just had to be out there because this offense can't hold the ball, can't string some drives together, can't keep them off the field. Denver hasn't had a great time of possession either. So I think that this Arizona defense might prove to be a tougher challenge tonight for Denver than we think.
I mean, I'm licking my chops.
In the league, Patrick Peterson, obviously Von Miller on the other side. Much more, Bart, on this matchup. Coming up, I promise.
She basically telling us
it's all about Thursday night.
What defenses play. You have to use different schemes to accomplish that. The mentality that we played with, the spirit that we played with, the physicalness, and certainly the execution in all phases is what you want to accomplish week in and week out, regardless of what the opponent is.
Here downplaying, I feel like a little bit, the significance of this particular win. Doug Marrone, though, took a bit of a different approach and a different tone about what it means for his squad. Take a listen.
Sometimes, hey, you eat some. You go out there and you get your acting gear. Like I said before, you pull it up. I like it because it's challenging. What better than hitting adversity and coming back from it? Seeing who people are. It happens all the time. I mean, it's happened my whole entire life. So for me, I like it. I don't want to be here. Make no mistake about it. Okay, but the one thing you don't have to worry about, the one question you're not going to get is, are you comfortable? There's no way anyone in this building should be comfortable.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm just loving the sound bites coast to coast from the league this year.
I'm talking. Can't trust a man that eat bologna sandwich voluntarily.
You hate bologna sandwiches.
Can't trust a man that does that.
Yeah. So strong words from Marrone and Jason Garrett following that 33-point blowout. How do these two teams respond going forward? And let's start with the Cowboys.
Well, when you look at the way that they ran the football last week, and people were, criticizing this offense about not being creative, right? They were a little bit more creative last week. I can say that. But Dak Prescott used his genetic abilities. I've been talking about that. He can run the football.
Crazy.
He can run the football, and that's how you open a defense up. Yeah, now you have to play true 11-on-11 football. I have to cover 53 1/3 horizontally and 110 yards vertically. That's what the new NFL offense is in the National Football League, and I'm just glad to see that the Dallas Cowboys kind of realized that last week. Now, Dak Prescott's going to have to understand he's going to be sore the next day now. He's going to be hit a little bit more. He's going to have to strain a little bit more.
Some of that yogurt.
Some of that yogurt that he's advertising.
So Linehan just woke up and said, yes, this is what we should do today?
I don't know what's going on in that building. But what I will say is you can see that it was a concerted effort on film for Dak to run the football and for this offensive line to be dominant up front.
She's on to something, because sometimes you take a step back and you realize, okay, what are our strengths? What do we need to play to? Sometimes you need those moments, and they have continued to say that they're sticking by Scott Linehan, whether it's upper management or whether it's Jason Garrett, and those were just words for a while.
Jones then goes and says, Cam Newton, the way they used him and the way they,
that's why you saw.
That was coded language. He said that years ago. He said that weeks ago. He said he needs to be more like Cam Newton and Jared Goff. What does Jared Goff do? He get to the line early, and the coach is telling him and doing some of the thinking for him, saying, look, the safety's coming here. These are the two plays. 15 seconds. Okay, I got to go. See you later. Right? And what does Cam do? He uses his legs. He uses his ability, his athleticism. And I said it before, Dak has to realize who he is. I said this on this show a couple of weeks ago. He's in a contract year. because he wasn't a first-round draft pick, so this is his contract year. He doesn't want to be known as a mobile quarterback. He wants to get paid like a pocket quarterback. So now he's trying to improve his arm off and show everybody, that he can make plays down the field with his arm. That's not really who he is.
You think it's Dak consciously saying, "Look, let me show."
Listen. You're a former black quarterback. Yeah. What's the biggest knock or the biggest criticism you could say about a black African-American quarterback?
That we can't throw out of the pocket and we can't think.
My point. So now he's proven that he can beat you in the pocket like all the great quarterbacks when you talk about, Aaron Rodgers, you talk about Drew Brees.
But this game about winning, though?
But
you got to win games.
But listen, he's also trying to build his brand and get, the big contract and not get the Andy Dalton, we got an out contract. He's not trying to get the Blake Bortles so we can get out in 3 years contract.
You think Dak is playing the business thing, but I don't know about that. You really
do players play the business card?
I know players play the business card, but I'm talking about Dak.
It's a difference between $30 to $40 million. Yes. Would you play that one?
Yeah, I would.
Ask yourself.
I play fullback, though, so, a little different funding for us.
Yeah. It's making you less effective, though. I mean, if that's the approach that you're taking, you're not playing to your
You're
strengths.
not winning games.
You're not. Yeah. You also, look, the running game isn't what it was 2 years ago. Right? We've talked about that.
The offensive line ain't the same.
Correct. Yeah. Without Travis Frederick, they're missing a couple of guys there. So the whole thing is different. So all this confidence that you're expressing.
Zeke's still pretty high on that list.
He is. Okay.
But you know it's not the same.
I mean,
it's not.
They're missing their future Hall of Fame tight end, which as the last minute, like the fact that we're still expecting him to have this brilliant year building upon what he had without the offensive line, losing Dez, losing Jason Witten last minute, that's tough.
But even last year he struggled with those guys, right?
Well,
Dez because that's not what
Dez wasn't Dez.
But that's not what he is. Look how beautifully the Philadelphia Eagles use Foles with those RPOs, being able to freeze those linebackers. Yeah. What happens is when you're a mobile quarterback, you control the backside defensive end, so you're going to help the running game, and you're going to create cutback lanes for Zeke that's going to open up the running game even more, and then you take your shots down the field. At the end of the day, your numbers will be the same. You just got there a little different.
This team's 3-3. They haven't won on the road. I love the win over the Jags. I feel like I still don't know who they are. They have the number 2 deep. No, I'm talking about the Cowboys.
Oh.
They have the number 2 defense in the league right now going into this week. I love that. Hopefully they can lean on that. They should lean on the run, which is what their identity should be. We haven't seen it consistently enough on offense, and they've got to win on the road, and that's what they've got this week in Washington.
Absolutely, but I think they realized what their identity was, and like I said with Linehan, they were just words. Now it's more than words. Now it's on film. Now they see it for themselves. You would think, if the question was how are they going to respond to this, I would think that they would continue to do what they did last week and start to play.
But it's easy to play good defense when your offense is running the football.
Right. That's always been their
I was talking offensively.
Yeah, I know. But whenever, let's say that defense slips and give up some explosive plays, can this offense get in the track meet? Not right now.
No.
Not right now. This offense can't. So we'll see.
We'll talk more about the Jags
Take a sip.
side of things. I know you hate baloney. We'll talk Jags in a little bit, though. On yet. You put in a couple specs about yourself, height, weight, all that kind of stuff, a little bit of your history, nothing too, intrusive, and it'll give you personalized, customized tips that you might not have thought of to help prevent cancer for you, for your loved ones, and it helps reduce cancer risk. So please go there. There's also great stuff to bid on to help support the American Cancer Society. All right, let's say good morning to Will Selva. This is kind of weird.
Hey, what's going on there, Kay?
Hi.
Generational talent right there.
Generational talent.
Love the crew inside there.
I gotta
Guys,
tell
how you feeling?
Will, this place is so big that my voice is actually echoing. Hello. Hello,
Will.
It's
See,
crazy.
I heard it too.
Yeah, I know it's echoing, but hey, you guys are good out there. Love that the guys are there with you. I mean, I like it. I like what I'm hearing.
Our guys are at a pub somewhere.
Oh, I know that they are. Having
Taking
a few
drunk
pints.
photos on Abbey Road.
It's not a crazy time there for that.
Kyle's running around barefoot on Abbey Road right now.
Yes.
Well, he does that now, so it doesn't matter where he's going. But either way, let's get to the news as we talk about the guys and what they're doing and their plans there in London. Rookie Josh Allen's injury leaving the Bills vulnerable in the quarterback department, with the only viable option being Nathan Peterman. Just the mere mention of his name is eliciting the Jonah Hill gif response. That, right? Well, enter veteran Derek Anderson, the 14-year pro, getting the starting nod in Sunday's game against the Colts. All the while, head coach Sean McDermott confirms Allen will not undergo surgery on his throwing elbow. As NFL Network's Tom Pelissero has reported, Allen will miss 2 to 3 games. For now, is Derek Anderson time, who was that of football just 2 weeks ago.
It's football. Things that happen in this game never amaze me. Just got to be ready at all times, and I was fully aware of what I was getting myself into coming here. Obviously not ideal, but we're going to do what we can.
Well, down in South Florida, Brocktober continues. Brock Osweiler making his second straight start in place of Ryan Tannehill. The NFL is looking into how the Dolphins handled Tannehill's injury in Week 6. The team listing Tannehill as a full participant in Wednesdays and Thursdays practices before listing him as limited on Friday. Tannehill did not play last week. We told you how Dolphins wide receiver Albert Wilson declared himself the best yak receiver in the league. Yak for the uninitiated is yards after the catch. Well, Lions wide receiver Golden Tate knows all about the topic of yak. After all, he's actually led the league in this category last season and the season before that. And this is what he had to say about Albert seeing himself as the king of yak.
Is he being cocky or is he being confident? I mean, I hadn't read too much into it. I think he's a heck of a player. I think he's a very strong runner. I think he's definitely bringing a spark to their offense. He's talented. He's a really, really good player. But you don't get that title after, 5 games, 6 games. So, I let the people decide.
All right, Golden Tate, nothing but respect there. But either way, Kay, he is the yak OG.
Yeah.
So he has to see more from Albert Wilson.
King of yak, says Michael Robinson. He's got the endorsement for Golden Tate there. A friend of the show. Will, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. Coming up next on Good Morning Football, live at NFL Films. He terrorized quarterbacks for well over a decade in the NFL. Hanging out with Mike Garafolo and Mike Robinson and Bart Scott. We're talking who needs to fuel your hustle, presented by Oikos 000, breaking down the players or the teams, what have you, who need to step up their game in the Super Bowl. Isn't this a fancy little setup?
You like this?
Sophisticated right there, bro.
You're warming yourself by the fire.
Man, I got
the
Martin Luther King. I got the Malcolm pose right there. You know how we do it, Bart.
Mike Rob and I have a bit of a Cold War literally going on between the two.
It's not a Cold War.
Let's be honest. I mean, let's talk about it. We're on the couches.
No. It is a Cold War because it's cold right now.
You want it to be 30 degrees in
warm
here.
front.
I'm begging for like 71.
Well, I know, but you're at our house today. When we come to your house, I sweat like crazy.
Do you?
So,
that's true.
Yeah, I sweat like crazy. So, so you got to be a little cold.
All right, well, because we're at your house, you will go first and who needs to fuel their hustle?
It's got to be Joe Mixon, right? Look at how the New England Patriots beat the Kansas City Chiefs last week, right? They ran the you-know-what out of the football, and they controlled the time of possession. They controlled how many opportunities Patrick Mahomes and this high-powered offense has. Joe Mixon, 84 rushing yards a game this season. That's third in the National Football League. You got Giovanni Bernard. He's probably going to miss another game. Look, the Chiefs' defense has given up 9 rushing TDs this season. That's good for second most in the National Football League. And Joe Mixon is the engine behind this Cincinnati Bengals offense. They need to get him the ball as much as possible. And I also would love to see him get the ball in the passing game a little bit because, again, the guy's a tough guy to physically take down to the ground.
Can't disagree with that. He needs to fuel his hustle. I think it's Khalil Mack. And yeah, I'm a Bears fan, and I know he's day-to-day with an ankle injury, but he's got to put this team on his back.
He's going to show up.
He's coming off of a rough game against the Dolphins. Mike Rob, I thought I was so cool on Twitter saying before when Osweiler got the nod that he was starting, and I said, Khalil Mack has sacked him 6 times in 2 career games, and he's going to have his way with him.
Osweiler balled out.
He didn't touch him. So
South Beach is undefeated.
Yes, it is.
2 tackles and 1 QB pressure, no sacks. The Bears got lit up by Osweiler. It's unbelievable. I still will say he's having a special season. 5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a pick 6. Okay, we heard Bill Belichick. We'll get into the sound later if you haven't heard it out there watching, of Bill Belichick sort of laughing at the idea of comparing Khalil Mack to Lawrence Taylor. Well, I'll tell you this. I wouldn't compare them necessarily now either, but Lawrence Taylor had just 3.5 sacks at this point going into Week 7 in his season MVP season. That next game, though, that Week 7 game, he had 4 sacks in that game. So Khalil Mack needs to bring it to Tom Brady. We all know how to beat Tom Brady. You got to hit him, and you got to hit him early. Look what the Jags did. Yannick Ngakoue, a huge hit on Brady early in that game to set the tone. And I think that if he can do that, even though he has an ankle injury, he can ball out.
I hope Khalil's watching, because damn it, that was a pep talk right there.
Reinforcements.
Fuel that hustle.
Brady got reinforcements.
Exactly. Get that ball out.
All right,
know what I mean?
who wants to go next? Mike G.
I'll go next. All right, DNPs yesterday. That means did not practice for those at home. For the Jets,
I know.
Tremaine Johnson, cornerback, out. Buster Screen, cornerback, out. Marcus May, safety, out. Jamal Adams, I'm looking at you, my friend. You've been playing some really good football. I need even more this week for the New York Jets, because guess who's coming to town? Adam Thielen and the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins been dropping dimes, bro.
Hey, this is a revenge game, though. He turned down their money.
He did turn down their money. I was getting it, man. You're all up. See, that's the problem. I knew when I picked the Jets topic.
That's true.
I got to get on it quickly.
That's true.
Anyway, Adam Thielen's 58 catches through 6 games, the most for anybody through 6 games in NFL history. He's on pace for
they don't get that dude
a lot of catches. Jamal, I need him up at the line of scrimmage. I need him back. I need him doing a little bit of everything. He's a fantastic young player, and I need to fuel that hustle this week.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, for mine, I'm going to New Orleans, even though they're going to my old house in Baltimore. Drew Brees. Yeah. Drew Brees has never beat the Baltimore Ravens.
Really?
He's thrown 3 pick sixes. I was a part of a couple of those. But he's, this New Orleans outfit is a little bit different when they take the show on the road. That old spin move ain't gonna work against the #1 defense in the league right now. This is gonna be a battle because their defense is struggling. So Drew Brees is gonna be under a lot of pressure to try and match Joe Flacco in that house. M&T Bank Stadium is a tough place to play. Drew Brees got to be better. Pick six, got to take care of the football. I can't wait to see if that #1 defense can slow down Alvin Kamara and see if they can get a dub.
You were a part of a couple pick sixes or 1 pick six? Is that what you said?
Well, I saw it. I was on the.
Oh yeah, you were this guy. Come on, this way, this way.
No, I was hit stick. Get up, Reggie Bush. I've been down before. Get up, so I can knock you down, sucker.
So he's 0-4 in his career. Craig. He's beaten 31 other teams. We talked about it earlier.
Last team, okay.
He's beaten the Saints. He's beaten his own team as well. So this is the one thing sort of left on his resume to get done. It's the defense that Baltimore's playing with, but it's their offense that might give them fits as well, because Flacco's playing on a different level right now.
Hey man, I'm telling you, when you got somebody behind you, when you got somebody behind you, Jackson, that draft somebody first-round draft pick, Joe Flacco see the writing on the wall. He's been there before. He understands.
So you're basically saying that the Broncos, Elway just needs to sign another guy.
I mean, this might be a little late.
Derek Anderson's going now. There's nobody to push him.
There's nobody out there to push him, but yeah, he needed some competition.
All right, that is Fuel Your Hustle, presented by Oikos 000, and we will be back after this on Good Morning Football.
He wants more non-football questions, to be honest with you, because he enjoys that.
I'll tell you the definition of love when we get off.
If I know our viewers, they'll bring it. Hashtag, what is it, the hashtag?
Hashtag Real Mike Rob Report, right?
Real Mike Rob Report. You're seeing at the bottom of your screen out there watching. Don't go to school. School's for losers. Don't go to work. You start tweeting the show.
He just slipped it in there just now. He said, I'll tell you what love really is. Like, you think you know what love is. Mike Rob's got a different definition for everything. Well, I'm drinking coffee. No, you're not. No, right. It's not really coffee. What are you talking about?
I'm going to tweet right now.
Absorbing moisture. What?
Rob, what is love? Let's bring in Will Selby. Will, I'm tweeting.
What is love?
Report.
Baby, don't hurt me.
You take it away.
Honestly, like for Mike Rob, I would just ask him, if there is wine that spills on a white carpet, how do you take it out? Mike Rob would know the answer to that.
Hold on, what was the question? Say that again.
If you spill wine on the red carpet, what do you do?
If you spill wine on a red carpet.
No. But see, you got to understand something. The answer you're going to get back from Mike Rob is, does the wine really exist?
The wine doesn't.
That's what you got.
Oh, he in the Matrix. Rob is in the Matrix.
That's real. That movie was a documentary, man. I'm just telling you.
He took the blue pill. He took the blue pill.
Don't get me started, bro. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm sorry. I digress.
I got nothing.
All right. I love that. Well, a day after saying wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. needed to do a little more playing and a little less talking, Giants president and co-owner John Mara says he plans to meet with OBJ in the near future to talk about his behavior. Now, Mara says he's had a number of those discussions with him. He's also quick to point out that the Giants remain committed to OBJ for the long term. Mara's 1-5 Giants travel south to take on the Falcons on Monday Night Football. Now, the NFL's fall league meeting ending Wednesday, and as always, Commissioner Roger Goodell held his traditional wrap-up press conference, and in the midst of record-high scoring, close games, and boosted TV ratings, he was asked about the state of the league and the controversial national anthem policy.
The focus of both the Players Association, the NFL, and all of our clubs and our players has been to focus on the efforts that our players have continually brought as their issues in their communities, and how can we make our communities better. They have been incredibly passionate about that. They have brought these issues greater awareness, and they are working in their communities to try to make their communities better.
The TV ratings seem to be up this year. What do you attribute that to, and is that a relief for you guys?
I obviously believe that the quality of the game is obviously a big driver to all of this. The quality of the stars, and I think we see so many players playing at an incredibly high level and teams playing at an incredibly high level. The competitiveness of our league, all of those are contributing factors.
Well, the Chiefs hosting their 4th annual Chiefs Kids Club Trick or Treat Bash at Arrowhead Stadium. The event benefits children enrolled in the team's Kids Club and ones involved with Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. There were more than 1,500 Chiefs Kids Club members along with their families. Also in attendance were Kansas City area police officers and firefighters. And according to defensive tackle Derek Noddy, he said there was a kid there that had a spot-on costume of quarterback Patrick Mahomes, which also leads me to think that I think a popular costume for Halloween will be one of Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Schrager in tandem together.
That's true. Can this kid imitate Mahomes' very unique voice is the question if he dresses like it.
Will even did it. He called him Patrick Schrager. He combined them. He smashed them together.
Yes.
You did that.
Why not?
We got to get on our Halloween costume ideas for this year.
Yes, we do. Time's ticking.
How do I top Becky the Icebox O'Shea from last year? I don't think it's possible.
You love it. That was a great one. And then what was Nate? Nate was Willie Beeman, right?
Nate is Willie Beeman.
Willie Beeman.
I got a great one. I got a great
accent. That's great.
Will, if you were sticking with Mahomes, Andy Reid said his voice is kind of froggish.
Yeah.
So you could go as Kermit the Frog in a Patrick Mahomes jersey.
Okay.
It all works. There's your ideas.
Look at that big brain on
Nobody really loved it.
Thanks so much, Selva. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Every Thursday, you can watch NFL Network for a full preview of Thursday Night Football, exclusive interviews.
Time once again to announce the NFL Way to Play recipient of the week. The NFL has created the Way to Play initiative in order to correct or to properly promote the correct playing technique. Each week, a panel of NFL legends will select a player who exemplified proper technique in an NFL game. The panel includes Hall of Famers Orlando Pace, Ronnie Lott, NFL running back Merrill Hodge, former head coach Chuck Pagano, and finally NFL Network's very own Willie McGinnis.
Willie!
The winner, I said the Willie, right? The winner receives a personal letter from the commissioner, as well as a $2,500 donation in the player's name to a high school or youth football program of his choice.
Who wins it for week 6?
NFL Way to Play recipient for week 6 is Buccaneers linebacker Lavonte David. And of course, as I always tell you, I have some film to show you right here. You have a running back that goes across him. Now, this is a big hit right here. But I love how Lavonte David comes to balance right before the tackle, and he hits on the rise. He gets his helmet out of the tackle. He sees exactly what he's hitting, and Bart, I know you can appreciate a linebacker wrapping up and securing the tackle.
Put him to the ground, then put his body well on him. What I love is he got his head across, securing that you have to run through his body, not his arm, securing the tackle. That's nice. Hit stick right there.
What do you see so many times? The guy just puts his arm under his chin and throws the shoulder and
no arms, no
wrap, and just gives him one of these.
Secure the tackle.
I like that one. That was good.
All start right there. All start.
There's plenty of room here if you guys want to do like a demonstration on like.
If these guys can do it, if they do it with me, I'll be.
I feel like that would be a great spot. That looks like soft wood.
I still need some surgery.
It was one. I don't even know if he remembered. We played Baltimore in 2011. We're on the goal line. ISO. And we're talking the whole time before the play. He's talking to me during the play.
They gonna be that easy, big boy.
I hit him right, and then he was like, "No, they gonna be that type of game today."
I'm finding that play before we're done here.
You know, I've
played one.
Yeah, it was dope. It was dope. I ain't gonna even lie. It was
right
fun to play against that dude.
He got a heavy head, man.
Yeah,
because who won though? Who won that match?
I mean, it was back and forth. Like I tripped a couple times, I fell a couple times, and you got to think when guys hit initially, it's like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we hit, and he was like, yeah, it ain't going to be that type of game today. And we said respect to each other, and that was the game.
So nobody won?
It was dope.
Man, look,
I ain't chasing like I chased Reggie. I tried to chase Reggie. Yeah. Get over there, Reggie. He said, Ray, get your boy. He's crazy. I'm get you today, boy.
Yo, hey, so he put his hands up in there.
He says, Ray, get your boy. He's crazy.
Awesome.
Oh, man.
Congratulations to Levante David. So he gets this award, and he gets $2,500 to donate in his name to any youth football organization or an organization of his choice. I can't wait to find out who the NFL Way to Play recipient is for this coming week. Let's talk NFC North. Let's talk Bears. It's a battle of a nonstop offense versus a star-studded defense on Sunday night. It is the Pats and the Bears in Chicago. Will Chicago be without a big member of their defense? Let's send it over to Stacey Dales for more.
Good morning, Kay. Officially for the Bears during Wednesday's practice, pass rusher Khalil Mack was a no-go with the right ankle injury. He'll be day-to-day, as head coach Matt Nagy told us. As for this team as a whole, in their only 2 losses this season, they've given up substantial second-half leads. Those games, of course, Green Bay and Miami. And while the offense has come together over the past couple weeks, Mitch Trubisky, 9 TDs, only 1 pick. I asked the quarterback on Wednesday what the words killer instinct mean moving forward.
I love those words, killer instincts, and that's where the great teams, great players, they develop that, and it's not something that has to be said. So we need that energy, we need that vibe when it comes down to you need a crucial play or a clutch play in the second half, fourth quarter. We got to have that mindset that we got to close out games. I think a lot of guys are hungry, and we're just eager for that next opportunity to prove ourselves, and not really to the outside, but just prove it to each other that that what we believe, what type of team we are, just a hungry team that wants to close out games and really be a dominant force.
I asked Bears guard Kyle Long about what could be a marquee win against the Patriots on Sunday, and yes, he talked about their dominance through the years, but he also said about his team, it's our turn to go out there and do the little things. Be the team that people say, wow, the Bears, they are prepared, and you don't want to have to go play them, especially at Soldier Field. Kay?
Thanks so much, Stacey, and thanks to you on that report. So let's take a look here, guys, at the points allowed by the Bears by quarter this season. So obviously they're a little
slow starters.
Little slow starters.
Slow starters, and they don't know how to finish the game.
They're not closing the game. That's pretty obvious back here
Everything in between is
at
great,
NFL
though.
Films. Before we talk about how they can get right and fix it and shake it off, even though they lost a game against Brock Osweiler after a bye, I want to go delve into this whole South Beach is undefeated thing.
Yeah, let's do it. If you want to go there, let's go there.
I just would like to know what you meant, because you're making me feel a little bit better as a Bears fan who saw my team fall to Brock Osweiler.
Well, when a player goes to Miami, they have other plans and activities. It's a great city to go to.
Hey, boy, don't put the whole code out there.
Okay.
Put the whole code out there. We're gonna have our phones gonna be going off.
There's distraction. That's the thing.
It's distractions. The weather. You have to adjust to the weather. You got to drink Pedialyte and pickle juice.
The weather and food.
That's like last week when Mike Robb picked the Dolphins, and we said, why? He said, because of the heat. The heat. There's different kinds of heat.
Different types of heat. See, I had to stay in the cold. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we know.
It's heat down there in Florida. And actually, I put it like this. I put it like this. When I was with the Seahawks, we went down there and played. One of our teammates didn't show up until the beginning of the second quarter. Think about
what?
Yeah.
He did not show up to the stadium to the beginning. We didn't even know where he was. We thought he was just gone.
So when you're getting the schedule and you're looking at who you're playing, are you like, Miami?
I know people like this. I know guys that circle it, and they start making plans right there when they get the schedule. You know, and they make sure I got this house.
They got the cars dropped off at the hotel,
ready to go,
gassed up, started.
But we can't say that's what happened to Chicago. It was close.
Yeah, I can't.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we do know that maybe the naps that they took during the bye week weren't enough naps.
Yeah,
so how do they wake up now against the Patriots?
Well, listen, you have to wake up against the Patriots because you know what the task is at hand. You know it's difficult. You know you're going against arguably the greatest quarterback of all time with the greatest head coach of all time. You know, what they're going to have to do, and the plan every week is always to get to Tom Brady. But that team is getting stronger. Now he has reinforcements.
Yeah, they look good.
Now he has his weapons. Now that defense can be hidden because that defense can be exposed if you can get to him. You know, you think about Cohen, you think about Taylor Gabriel being able to really,
those two guys right there,
the gadget guys. You can circle that defense, and you can really expose those outside linebackers, those inside linebackers of the Patriots.
Well, there's something called PBS, and I'm not talking about public television. I'm talking about post-bye syndrome.
Oh, some PBS had a great program on there.
You think you'd be well rested?
Sometimes you're too rested. Listen, they were in a little groove. The atmosphere was great. We talked about how they were having parties in their locker room. Everything's here. You know, and a lot of times as a coach, you don't want that break because you're feeling so good and you're playing so good that it resets a little bit. So
much more on this. We got to get Mike Robb's take on speed is the way to kill the Patriots.
Just saying, look at what happened last week.
Yeah, we'll dig into that in a little bit. Another hour of Good Morning Football on the way. Bart Scott is pretty nice.
I never seen nothing like this.
That's the weekend's home, Bart. We here every Saturday and Sunday, man. You know how we do it.
Ginormous.
I know how you do it, and I'm watching how you did it in 2011. I pulled up the film. I'm going to be breaking down some Seahawks Ravens from 2011. Little Mike Robb versus Bart Scott.
That was probably my best special teams game of my life.
To play that.
Quite frankly.
Michael Robinson, Mike Garofoli, you know them from Good Morning Football Weekend. What's up, Garofoli?
Hey, how you doing? I was covering a game. I was covering a Giants game at this point, but these two were pow.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to see that on the television.
I'm going to pull some cuts for you, Kay. We're going to break it down, you and I.
Do a libero, of course. Hit him with the libero.
You better not do a libero.
You can tweet the show at #GMFB. And where can they tweet for the Robinson Report?
#Real Mike Robb Report. Tweet us at GMFB. Let's get it, man. I'm answering all your questions, not just about football, too.
Literally
everything.
Anything.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Yes!
All right, we've got to dig into this Thursday night game. It's time for the lead block.
Lead block.
Let's do it. Omar Ruiz is in Glendale. He is at State Farm Stadium, just outside. The sun has not yet risen, but you have a smile on your face because we love football, and we're kicking off Week 7. We just heard Von Miller's comments from earlier in the week. We've been talking about it all week long. How have the Cardinals responded?
Well, most of the Cardinals I talked to had a good chuckle about it, but I want to put a little more context into Von Miller's comments. He was asked if he was irritated when he said those statements. He said, no, I'm not irritated. I'm just very confident. He said that when him and Bradley Chubb are playing well, nobody in the league can block them, especially not the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals saying that Miller's just trying to fire up his own squad, and Coach Wilks saying that at 1-5, if the Cardinals are looking for any sort of outside motivation to get them going, they're in trouble. But Josh Rosen did tell me that whenever a Conor McGregor or a Jalen Ramsey and now a Von Miller talk trash, he loves it. Adds to the entertainment factor. Certainly fun for us to talk about ahead of this game tonight.
No fun for them at 1-5, though, Omar. Tough way to start the season. How are they staying positive going into tonight?
Well, it starts a lot with the leadership they have in the locker room, with Larry Fitzgerald and Patrick Peterson continuing to put their head down and work. There's a real belief here in Arizona that this is a good football team just playing poorly as opposed to a bad football team. And I spoke to Coach Wilks about how he's maintaining this ship here. And you remember, he comes from the Carolina Panthers coaching staff where Ron Rivera started his tenure there, 6-10, 7-9. He was very much on the hot seat. They turned it around, obviously have been perennial contenders ever since then. He keeps that in mind, keeps those experiences in mind when leading this team. They are 1-5, but they believe in the long-term vision for this team, the future success that they do believe is coming to hold that fort down. It's just a matter of time, so they're trying to stay positive here with the Cardinals, both in the locker room and in the coaching staff.
Now, I heard a rumor here on the East Coast that you might be eating a gridiron burger tonight. Is that true?
Well, we saw this a little bit in training camp, and here it is in the season, this 7-pound burger, almost 2 pounds of beef, almost a pound of fries. It's like a Primanti Brothers sandwich on steroids, 20 slices of cheese. They even have hot dogs and chicken tenders. And Kay, I have this thing called the Season 15. Lack of working out during the season, eating on the road so much. It's like your freshman 15 in college putting on that extra weight. There's no way I can put on half of that in one setting with this 7-pound sandwich. I might try it a little bit. But I'm not going to take that 1 hour challenge to try to get, not with that attitude, certainly not. But it is not worth the Cardinals jersey and getting my name up on the stadium scoreboard there.
I disagree. I think you should try to do it.
You do think it's worth it? I'll send you pictures later, Kay. I'll have it out in front of me. That's a promise.
Yeah.
And then we'll let you know how the challenge itself goes. Maybe I could have some help with our crew here.
Has anybody completed the challenge? That's what I need to know. I need a deep dive on the person who will be next week's underappreciated storyline for me that finished that. Food.
There you go. That's the underappreciated storyline coming tonight at a stadium near you.
Great stuff.
1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving.
Thank you for that. Let's roll the tape.
I'm not
roll the tape.
Look, I'm just... First off, my personal thing is just to play every game. And then after that, you know, my goal is still 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving, and really just helping the team out as much as I can.
And then they signed
so super talented. But Sam Bradford, I mean,
whoopsies.
As far as staying on the field, I thought he would be better. I thought the offense would be better, and I thought the offense would run through him. It's not working out, whatever they're doing, but he's still an all-pro running back with fresh legs.
Kay. You're good.
And I really think if it's going to happen this week. It's going to happen by a run defense that's been gashed by Isaiah Crowell and Todd Gurley, and whatever way that they're using him, hopefully they can get him into space, which is where I want to see.
That's what he needs
also,
to be
like,
in space.
do we not forget that David Johnson can catch the ball? Why aren't they giving him the ball in the passing game? So tonight, I know Von Miller's trying to galvanize his run defense, get Brandon Marshall and Pecco to make it happen, but I think it's going to be a David Johnson game, and yeah, this is it. This should be the best game of his year.
So you calling it? This is going to be the best game of his year?
shot.
We're going to talk about this tomorrow.
Yes. Oh, I know. I'll be here. Keep the receipts. I hope for it because I feel like he's too talented to not have that happen. He should have more rushing yards than Lindsey and Freeman combined.
Well, you talk about Lindsey and Freeman. I'm going to go to the other run game on the other side of the ball with the Denver Broncos. Philip Lindsey and Royce Freeman. I'm looking at these guys. They need this run game to come alive if they want better quarterback play. Okay, the biggest help to a quarterback is not only a great defense but a running game. Philip Lindsey, I love this kid, undrafted kid, a guy that's had a tough road to get to where he is right now. So he runs with a lot of strain. He runs with a lot of will and he's a unique runner. He's a smaller guy. He gets behind those big offensive linemen and explodes. And I love Royce Freeman. These guys does the dirty work in the run game. If you run the football, Case Keenum will look better. Again, I talked about it earlier. 7 interceptions this year, and he only has 7. 8 interceptions this year. He only had 7 last year. I'm looking at this Denver run game.
More picks than touchdowns this year so far.
It's not good.
Keenan, what do you got, Bart?
Von Miller said he's coming to kick that ass. His words, not mine.
That's right. There you go.
You taught him something.
It's the real.
Really?
Listen, we know what it is when leaders stand up. It's the real brothers roll call. And listen, if you ain't with me, don't leave this locker room unless you about that smoke today. And I tell you what, the Denver Broncos is about that smoke.
Really?
And you talk about, okay, David Johnson's going to get off. Yeah, this defense has been gashed. But they had quarterbacks that were capable of making big plays. You got a rookie quarterback.
Okay.
See, what Shaq would call that is barbecue chicken. They gonna say, we putting 8, 9 in the box. I dare you, youngster, to beat me. I'm not worried about Larry Fitzgerald, great player, but he's
hasn't scored a touchdown.
Right.
Hasn't had 40 yards since week 1.
Exactly. So that means heavy boxes. That means getting this kid in 3rd and long, and then Von Miller's gonna eat. First 2 games, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles.
Woo!
About that life. I don't know what kind of glass he's gonna wear. He might come with the Eric Dickerson goggles today. Take it back. Give me one of them old school butt kicking.
That would be a sight. That would get me going.
Be dope,
I'm taking a 20 before I start mine. I said, we talked about that burger, who finished the burger. Yeah. I said Chet Steadman finished it. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I went, wait, no, that's not right. Chet Steadman was Rookie of the Year. It was Gary Busey. I was thinking Chet Ripley in The Great Outdoors. That's John Candy when he finished the entire state.
What did you call that, taking a 20?
I took a 20. Took a timeout. This is a 20. 20-second timeout. It's a basketball thing. All right. What am I watching for? I'm watching the Broncos' body language, and I'm watching their sideline because this team is at the boiling point. But I'm not that guy in the standpoint of like, where's the fight? They're just at the point now where I'm starting to sense that frustration. Von Miller and what he said the other day kicked their ass. And then I was told that Bradley Roby and Chris Harris, told by a source that these two were at it the other night. It was at a meeting, I believe, or behind closed doors somewhere.
Losing does that.
Losing does. But you know what? Sometimes it can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be, all right, like, let's get Von Miller out there talking about to his teammates, we're going to kick their ass. These guys at each other. Sometimes you can get that spark.
Or it could go the other way.
Or it could go the other way. That's why I'll be watching it. That's my thing to watch.
So if they've lost 4 straight, Von Miller comes out and says this, and All-Pro doesn't come out and say that unless he feels pretty good and confident about what he's got cooking for a primetime game.
Or he's trying to talk himself into
looking at that barbecue chicken over there. Man, this is a rookie.
Well, I'm also wondering, how is this going to look on this head coach if he loses this game, Vance Joseph? I mean,
walk in the mile, walk in the mile.
That's what I'm saying. I hate to say it, right?
Everyone in Denver is saying it. I was listening to local radio, reading some of the local papers, and everyone's talking about.
But can you really just put it on? Can you just put it on Vance Joseph? He didn't bring in the quarterback.
It's what he inherited, right?
That's what,
he inherited a aging team. Demaryius Thomas is not the same player that he used to be. He's slowing down. You think about that defense. Wolf is a great player, but he's slowing down. Pecco's a retread. So now they started with Talib. They have to reboot this whole thing. And for some reason, John Elway, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, can't pick quarterbacks.
We can't draft them.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So Paxton Lynch, bringing him in, he's a bust. So now he sets your program back 2 to 3 years. So now you got to figure out what's going on. You got to go in and try and get a retread, a bridge quarterback in Case Keenum. They got to start over and tear this thing down after this year. And this will be the start of it. And we don't know if Vance Joseph is going to be there to lead the troops.
And that's my thing. I mean, they knew Vance Joseph didn't have any head coaching experience. They knew that he had to kind of work his way into this.
Year two, though.
To me, it just looks like this is going to be he's going to be the scapegoat.
I confess he did it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it just
I ain't firing myself,
these
John.
Offices, we know these coaching staffs. If they lose one on Thursday night to make it 5 in a row, is there danger?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. And I thought, well, I didn't think, I thought because I was hearing it about going into the Rams game that they needed to make sure that one didn't get out of hand. And they survived. They didn't win the game.
And they held the Rams under 30.
They did. They survived that potential pitfall there. But now you've got the Thursday game. You get that long layoff afterward. That's there's always, whether it's London or the bye week or a Thursday game, there's always these pivotal points at a season where if something goes wrong, all right, now's the time where we can make a change.
So let me ask you this real quick, because you're a player.
Yeah.
You hear that. You're watching this. You're a Denver Bronco.
That's what I was just about to go to.
What is your reaction? Isn't that the thing that's going to make you Rex Ryan it up and circle the wagons for your coach if you like him?
Yeah, I mean, if you like him, that will circle the wagons. But let's say he does get fired, right? What is that saying to the veterans in that locker room? We'll press reset, guys. And you know what I mean? Do guys start making vacation plans for after the season? I mean,
the U-Hauls already have.
That's what I'm saying, man.
But what happens is also if you're a veteran in there, you understand if he goes, you go. They get rid of the players just as well. So if you're an agent guy, you're going to be a salary cap casualty. So these guys understand. It's the young guys that's running around that's like all free and they're like all sunshine and roses because they don't understand the business side of it. So there will be consequences.
But that's why I'm talking about Von Miller coming out saying what he said.
He ain't going nowhere.
Hold up, but Roby and Chris Harris getting at it with each other. I'm saying the older guys are feeling the tension, and now it's starting to manifest itself a little bit. That's why I'll be watching.
Great word, manifest. That's a great word. You want to get into it? We can get.
Welcome back to the Matrix. What does the word manifest mean?
You guys are talking about.
You want to talk about it?
Older guys. It's all about the. Why are you matrixing? What Neo over here?
Look, everything is fake. Okay.
There you go.
Are we gonna go with it?
Is this what you guys deal with on the weekends all the time? Just confusing.
You were in the green room. You heard the conversation.
I left the green room promptly because I was like, I got to study the game. I can't talk about it.
He has yet to accomplish defeating the Ravens. He's 0-4 lifetime against Baltimore. We did a deep dive earlier this week. He looks to become just the third quarterback in NFL history to beat all 32 teams, Brett Favre and Peyton Manning being the other two.
I'd love to beat these guys, They're always a great team when you play them, so you always know it's going to be a slugfest. And don't get to play them all that often, right? It's a once every 4-year deal, being AFC, NFC. But they're a great team, number one defense in the league right now, so we got our work cut out for us.
Now, as Breeze goes for the elusive victory, another thing to keep an eye on is he's just one touchdown pass shy of 500 for his career. One other thing to consider is that the Ravens are the only NFL team that has not given up a passing touchdown on their home field. So something else to consider and ponder as we all listen to Flame by Chris Brown.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, in the commercial break.
I had no idea. Mike Robin, I don't know how he got the controls of this, but he has an actual speaker in the studio blaring during breaks.
Love that.
He controls the whole thing. We did hit a little Chris.
Well, that's what I do. I bought it, so it's mine.
Is it really?
Yeah. I didn't spend that money. You know what I mean? That if we blast music.
He wasn't here last Saturday, and everybody kind of looked at each other because it was quiet in here, and everybody was like, oh, right, no music going. So Reggie tapped in there some way, somehow.
I'm telling you, man, you got to create the vibe. We're vibrational beings.
I already said thanks, Will. Thanks again, Will.
Yep. We African, so we got the drum.
There you go. Boom, 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 boom. You know what time it is.
I didn't know Will could hear us. That's not a good thing. He can hear us during break. All right, as the Patriots are getting ready to play the Bears on Sunday afternoon in Chicago, Bill Belichick was great at the podium. He was asked a question he wasn't so much willing to entertain.
Bill, you've seen a lot of good pass rushers in your career, starting with Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White. Does Mac sort of rank up there with one of the better ones you've seen?
Oh, I mean, we're talking about Lawrence Taylor now. Yeah, I'm not putting anybody in Lawrence Taylor's class, so you put everybody down below that. That's with a lot of respect to a lot of good players now, but we're talking about Lawrence Taylor.
I hear you, Bill.
I would love to hear him on a 911 call.
Yeah.
No panic yet.
Yeah, my house.
LT took to Twitter to retweet, guys, his former defensive coordinator, what he said. Belichick loves the Navy, Bon Jovi. He loves LT. He loves
coached
history.
LT too. Right, man. We got to throw that out there. I mean, that's a little bit of a
on
homer
the bingo board of what Bill Belichick loves. LT is like center square.
Well, I mean,
that was his prized pupil.
Exactly. And Hall of Famer, Defensive Player of the Year, and LT, and Bartle can second this. LT was going sometimes against running backs who really could not block him.
They couldn't hang.
But he was the overhang guy. You know, they created a position. You know, what I
What's
can't
the overhang guy for?
Well, overhang guy is like the extra guy that really they can't account for. It's like 3-on-3. It's like sometimes when you see safeties come into the box, they're the overhang guy. That's why you always heard Peyton go, Omaha, run away from the extra guy that we can't block. You know, but LT was tremendous, and he was like the first tweener type of guy that I can remember dropping in coverage. But best of all time, I don't know about
I don't know about whoa.
And we've had this discussion on my show all the time, and all the New York callers call up and they cuss me out. But I got to go with the Minister of Defense, Reggie White.
Reggie White.
198 sacks. We're talking about 198 sacks versus 132 for Lawrence Taylor. Yes, I know the Minister of Defense didn't drop back in coverage.
No, he didn't.
But his career low was 8 sacks. That's his career low.
And he always went against 300 pounds.
One move, the hump.
Not running back.
He taking 350-pound men because they was fatter back in the day. Hit it with that hump move. Minister of Defense, you know I love you, man. We got the same representation, LTZ.
LT the man.
You my boy. I love you, but I got to do you. Love you, but I got to do you.
Who comes closest to LT?
I would say, well, let me say it's Derek Thomas. I would say because you remember what he was able to do. Is he another overhang guy?
No, he
not an overhang.
He had that bend. He had that bend, baby.
He had the bend. He had the ability to come around that corner and that speed off the corner. Is this the 7-sack game?
Why you got to be sacking the Seahawks?
I think this is the 7-sack game.
Why you got to do it right here?
He should have had an 8th sack, and that's the one that really burned him because he didn't get the 8th sack that day, and it wound up being a game-winning touchdown. So he would have single-handedly won that game, and that's the one. So I like that about a guy, that he still remembers the sack that he didn't have that day. I just find this whole thing funny because when Justin Tuck retired, the longtime Giants defensive end who played with the Raiders, played with Khalil Mack, I remember him saying to me that this guy's about to bump out. He said he compared Mack to LT and Derek Thomas, and the quote he told me was, "I know who I'm comparing him to. Trust me, I get it. I know." So Justin Tuck disagrees with Bill Belichick because he does believe that Khalil Mack's in this category.
I tend to agree with Bart. I think Reggie White was the best pass rusher ever, but to say that there's a current player that's like LT, I don't think there is. Guys were just made a little different back then.
Right.
This player is a little bit different mentally. You know what I mean?
He was evolution.
Yes.
That's what he was.
He was the
evolution.
game evolving.
Right. They had to develop schemes to learn how to block him. So he innovated the game. You know, he was the guy that evolved the position and created his own position because of his unique talent, being like one of these size speed guys.
So modern day, if I were to submit J.J. Watt, who has 7 sacks, tied for the lead, and has won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, the same amount as LT.
I'll go Jason Taylor.
That's crazy to you.
I'll go Jason Taylor.
It's not. Is it crazy? It's not crazy. It's just it's tough to compare as two different kinds of guys.
It's like my.
NFL app is back this season, and it's completely reimagined. Guys, you can live stream local games. You can get all the primetime games right on your phone, along with the all-new Game Center for breaking news, highlights, stats, and real-time insights from around the NFL for your favorite squad. You can download the NFL app or Yahoo Sports app right now. All right, welcome back to NFL Films. Now, does Colleen stand on this thing?
Yeah, she stand on that thing.
Does she really?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to look so short.
Now
There
I'm
you
towering
go.
over you. Oh, no, I'm
you're
not. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing because this apple box is like 1.5 feet tall. That is really not okay.
All good.
Ooh, all right. So this is one of the favorite segments on Good Morning Football Weekend. It's called Go Route, and here's how it works. We have a full slate of action for Week 7. It kicks off tonight. Of course,
Don't forget
Broncos
to say go either.
and Cardinals.
That's right. That's the issue.
Part of the rules? Okay. Here's the first question. Mike Robb, you're going to kick it off here.
What's up?
Because we're guests in your house. The Texans trail the Jaguars by 4 with 2 minutes to play. They're in the red zone.
Okay.
Who wins the battle? Houston's red zone offense or Jacksonville's defense? Go!
I have to say the Jacksonville Jaguars red zone defense. Why? The Houston Texans have had a litany of problems in the red zone. They can't block anybody in the red zone. The windows, the passing windows get tighter in the red zone, and they can't run the football. Lamar Miller, we need to see more of you running the football. Bill O'Brien, just turn around, hand the football off, and when you can't run it, the play action will open up passing down the football field. So in the red zone, you got to get your red zone offense better. So I got to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jalen Ramsey is a goon. DeAndre Hopkins is a goo goblin. What's a goon to a goblin? Oh, okay. And the Texans don't take it in the red zone. Okay. I love Hopkins. I think because they struggle, they're going to figure it out. They have the personnel. They have speed all over the field. I think they have to quit trying to be, so one-dimensional and throwing up fades and stuff like that and start going to the screen game. Oh. Because when you have an over-aggressive defense, how do you slow them down? Screen them to death.
Like hey, man, if I coach, man, you going to be my DC. I'm telling you,
I'm telling you, I'm in New Jersey. Listen the hell out of little kids.
I'm going to go
right now as we speak.
I'm a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey.
I don't think y'all heard him say
I didn't hear it. I don't want to hear it. Bart, let's start with you. 6 consecutive seasons, okay? At least one team who won a game in London has made the playoffs. London, good luck, if you imagine. So let's talk winner of Titans-Chargers. Do they make it to the postseason? They play there in London on Sunday.
I think they do, and I think that team is the Los Angeles Chargers because they're my sneaky pick.
Oh, yeah.
Phillip Rivers is my guy. I believe in Anthony Lynn. When they get Bosa back, they're going to be complete, having 2 defensive ends on the outside and can rush. I do not bet against Phillip Rivers. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think he's the best quarterback out of that class. He just doesn't have any heart. Yeah, said it.
Oh, you know you work in New York, right?
In a bucket.
You know you work in New York, right?
I said it.
Oh, well, wow. You messed me up with that one, Bart. I forgot the question. What was the question?
Who's going to make it to the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. The London
Mariota, who got sacked 11 times.
11 times.
For the Chargers.
The Chargers. I had to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. The preseason, I picked that this will be, the Super Bowl will be a West Coast Super Bowl. Los Angeles Chargers against the Los Angeles Rams. So the verdict's still out. We'll see what that is going. But the Los Angeles Chargers, Melvin Gordon, man, they have a legit running game. This offensive line is picking defensive linemen up and putting them in the lap of the linebacker.
Get out the club.
Get out the club. You got on white T-shirts. So when you do that, you make that's the part of football that resonates later on in the season. Resonates in January and February. I like the Los Angeles Chargers.
You still say who's the best quarterback out of that class. Don't duck that one.
That wasn't a question, Bart. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I still got to go to New York. You feel what I'm saying?
That's that associate degree I got. I don't know.
Can we move on?
I'm sorry. We just
Mike Robb, NFC East rivalry as the Cowboys take on the Redskins this week. What will the NFC East look like at the end of the season?
At the end of the season, the Philadelphia Eagles seems like they're the best team in that division. You got the Washington Redskins, who they have a ground attack. Adrian Peterson, man, he's revived his career, right? Later on in his career. So they actually play a brand of football that will resonate later on in the season. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning. I have the Washington Redskins at number 2. I have the not New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys at 3, with the New York Giants bringing up the rear.
I got it that way, but for different reasons. I think when you think about Washington, what's always been their Achilles heels is being able to keep their talent healthy. They're not a very deep team. They're a very talented team. They're ones, but when you get to their 2s and 3s, it gets very diluted. I believe in the Philadelphia Eagles. As long as their corners can stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe and jumping routes and getting beat over the top, I believe that they're going to make a trade either for Le'Veon or Shady.
You think that's happening? That's not happening.
Listen. They have a small window.
I feel you. Right,
Shady's 30 years old. Why you gonna keep him in Buffalo? They got to get some
But he's
stuff
a change. Shady's not going to get the 32
They have an extra number 2 pick from the Ravens.
What I'm saying is Shady's not going to get the 32 or 3 yards. They already have Corey Clement and some of those change-up type of backs. Now, possibly Le'Veon, but are you going to go out there and really spend the money on Le'Veon for a half a season?
I'm giving up a 2.
And you're not going to be able to sign him long.
I will give up a 2. You think Le'Veon wouldn't want to stay with that window, with that quarterback, with that defense, with that offensive line?
I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to us, but what I'm just saying, bro.
I got to check out their state tax. I know Le'Veon got that money, though. I got to check out that.
It's a difference in money, but Roseman will do it. I mean, if any GM or front office is willing to do that.
Le'Veon is a top back. He is a lead dog. When he comes into your offense, the ball has to go through him. So what I'm saying is that messes up the dynamics of your offense, Bart.
Yeah.
That's not.
Go get Shady. Bring him home. Bring him home. Shady
getting no love with Buffalo, but he's looking great. So let's move on to this last one. Bart, we're going to start with you. So we're going to talk wide receivers right now. We've got the Bengals taking on the Chiefs in prime time. I got to ask you, who's going to have a better game, Tyreek Hill or A.J. Green?
Tyreek Hill has the better quarterback with the bigger arms, which means more explosive plays, and he has more help around him when you think about all that team speed. I watched this guy catch a throwaway shot. Guys were 30 yards off the ball, and they didn't even touch him. McCourty was like, yo, I ain't never been on the field with nobody this fast. He like a joystick. He got the X button. He like Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl 1.
Yeah.
Pressing the B all the time.
You can pick the play, you still can't stop him.
I think Tyreek Hill also. I mean,
you agree? How good? How
14 touchdowns of 50-plus yards since entering the National Football League. That far blows out everybody in the National Football League. And not only is he fast, he can go up and get the football, but he's a tough tackle. When he gets to you and you have to break down and physically take this guy down, it's almost impossible. I look at him as Percy Harvin 2.0.
Wow.
Look at the neck. Look at the neck. Look at the neck. Look at a little rock waller.
Do you think,
that neck, man.
At what point do you think the collective national media will consider Tyreek Hill in that elite upper class, like A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell?
Well, again,
is he to kick off Week 7 with Thursday Night Football? You can catch it here on NFL Network. Mike G, Mike Robb, Bart Scott, Kay Adams. We're here at NFL Films, and on the field tonight, two of maybe the best players at their position, right? You got Von Miller, you've got Patrick Peterson, two consummate pros. They're veterans. They were drafted in the same class back in 2011. Von Miller second, Patrick Peterson in the top 5. Miller has seen 6 Pro Bowls, and the only person to go to more Pro Bowls is
Patrick Peterson.
Well done, Von Miller.
Really?
Yeah, he has said they're going to kick ass tonight. Sorry, did I have to do that?
Yeah, you got to do that.
I'm sorry.
So the bosses know
Which of these guys will have a bigger impact on tonight's game? Is it Miller or is it Peterson?
Ooh, who wants to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Bart.
I go first. I think it's going to be Von Miller because whenever you're a pass rusher, you can affect almost every play. Yeah, they can try and take you out by chipping you and things like that, but Von Miller's been there, done that. He knows how to chip the chipper. When you chip him, he spins back inside and still is able to be productive. You can always formation a corner out the game, right? Yeah. You can always attack the opposite side. You can always, put the receiver in the backfield. You can always, use your guy to run off. You can't get away from an elite pass rusher and a guy that can also play the run at the same time because you can always get him open with line stunts and things of that sort.
Well, Bart, I think just the nature of the position would have you say Von Miller, right? Defensive backs, they don't necessarily always like to tackle. Patrick Peterson is a guy that will. He's a willing tackler, but they're not out there to tackle. They're out there to cover people and make sure no explosives go over the top. So for that, just the nature of the position, I have to go with Von Miller, especially after what he said this week. He has to go out there and back that up right now because he's going to have a big spotlight on him. Everybody's going to be watching to see what he's going to do. And I do think that he looks over at the other sideline sometimes to see Chandler Jones getting sacks and things like that. And I think he's going to want to compete against some I'm
going to have a tough time selling Patrick Peterson.
Go ahead. I can't wait to hear this.
I'm actually with you on that.
You are with me on this.
I am with you.
Okay,
tell me why. Tell me why.
I think that in order for the Cardinals to win, they got to keep doing what other defenses have done against Case Keenum, who has more interceptions than anyone in the National Football League, more than he has touchdowns. Patrick Peterson's going to have to make a play play, and we know he's capable of it, a game-changing play. He hasn't had a pick six since 2014. That could happen to him.
And he'll get up in your face. He'll disrupt the timing, and the timing has been off for this Broncos passing game. Remember that game against the Kansas City Chiefs? They had that open play with Demaryius Thomas up the sideline. That was all a timing thing. That was disrupted from the start of that play, in large part because Thomas quit on that play.
That's what I was about to say.
If he can disrupt the timing, in addition to guys quitting on that throws everything off.
Yeah.
That's been a major problem for this Broncos passing game this year.
The quarterback just doesn't have to throw the ball Patrick Peterson's way, and you leave it right out.
Who's he going to take away?
Yeah, who's he going to take away?
Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. They have options over there.
Oh, and then Cortland Sutton and the other guys.
Hang on, hold on.
With the Broncos,
I'm tallying the points. Kay, we won.
yeah, there we go. They're making so many mistakes on the Broncos, and we're talking about why was Case Keenum so great last year and the success he had. They played mistake-free football. That was part of that winning recipe. Him having all those interceptions, that penalty for Emmanuel Sanders last week, all of that adds up to L's, and 4 of them straight. We'll see if they can avoid a 5th one tonight. Where we take a look at some recent fantasy trends and decide which ones are going to continue, which ones are going into the shredder. And every week, we like to give our shredder a name, a face, just an identity, really, on Good Morning Football. Since this is my first time doing this segment with you guys at NFL Films, I thought it might be a good idea for you guys to get familiar.
Study some tape.
With Shreddy.
Right.
And here's some tape. The All-22 on Shreddy.
Hey!
We have to reveal the Shreddy of the day.
Our first Shreddy.
It's an honor for me, Kay. Here we go.
Do you know who's on it?
I don't know. Here's the shredder. And who is the Shreddy?
Mr. Shred.
Mr. Shred! Fucking horse! Who do we got here?
Around, let me see.
Oh, Shreddy Krueger? Oh! Shreddy. Got it.
All right. This is my shredder.
Oh, is that Shreddy Murphy?
It's you're here, Shreddy Murphy.
Come on.
Thanks, Nate. And I'd like to introduce you guys to Shred Hockey League.
Yeah! What's up, Shredrick? Shred.
He looks shredded.
It's perfect.
And in honor of Good Morning Football Weekend, I'd like to introduce you guys to Shredgy Bush. There he is. Shredgy Bush making his way to the table. I mean, Bart, look at these
Look how you
teeth.
roll.
Look at these teeth on these two. Unbelievable.
Diddy teeth right
Just him and Tiger Woods in the most beautiful photo I've ever seen.
He got nice teeth. He got nice traps going on there.
It's unbelievable. All right, do you guys know Reggie Bush likes to go?
It's low body fat in there.
I know.
You didn't know that?
I know.
So if you guys have anything to put in the shredder, here I am.
Okay.
What do you got?
Am I up first? What do I got here? Jameis Winston will be a top 5 quarterback again in Week 7 versus the Browns.
So he was the highest scoring fantasy quarterback last week, but it was up against the Falcons. Yeah, but he had to throw a ton, and he didn't even use Mike Evans, which was sort of wild. He's back. That offense has a lot of weapons, but I don't love their matchup against the Browns, who are, I feel like, sneaky feisty, or at least not allowing huge numbers.
Eat it up,
They're
Reggie.
Top 10
I'm sorry,
toughest
Reggie.
to the quarterback spot. Listen, I know you've got guys on bye. You can't play Russell Wilson this week, so if you have Jameis, obviously get him going, but I just feel like I wouldn't expect a huge top 5 day from him. So I got to shred you. Sorry, Jameis.
There you go.
Do you guys disagree?
Get him, Shredgy.
I don't really, I don't disagree at all.
Against the Browns?
I'm just looking at the
You're mesmerized, bro.
It's Shredgy.
Okay, am I up next?
Yeah.
All right, Tevin Coleman outscores Kerryon Johnson in Week 7. Now, we were talking fantasy points, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Devonta Freeman's not there, but how about this guy, Ito Smith?
He's like a clone of Devontae Freeman.
He's taken a lot of the workload away, and of course, in the red zone. Do you guys? And Kerryon Johnson has been awesome. Do you guys have any takes on this before we decide whether or not to shred it?
I love Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
I liked him coming out in the draft. They just need to go ahead and just call him the starter and leave him on the field as much as they possibly can. Let him be the lead back. He can run the football. He can catch the football. And what I love about him is when he gets hit, he lowers his he lowers his surface of impact, which means he runs through tackles when he gets hit. So I like Kerryon.
Kerryon is over the last 3 weeks.
I like Tevin Coleman, though, because he's going to get involved in that passing game. He's a screen, draw type of guy. He gets to the end zone, pay dirt.
That's true, but I like the matchup.
Stay on his legs.
The Giants only allowed 60 yards to 2 guys, and their names guys were Zeke Elliott and Alvin Kamara. Giants defense really actually tough against the run. So I'm going to say Kerryon Johnson's going to have a better day. Because he's been better over the past 2 weeks.
This is a good entry point. Somebody in our league traded Kerryon for Lamar Miller. We didn't like that trade. We're trying to vote against it.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to put that Kerryon for Lamar Miller.
Thank
you, Last.
What do you got?
Last but not least, Stephon Diggs held under 50 yards for the 4th time this season against the Jets Jets.
I feel like Stephon Diggs, a lot of that lack of production, he had Patrick Peterson on him, which held him to like 3 catches for 33 yards. Other than that, people are giving all the love to Thielen, who's obviously like a candidate for the MVP right now. But I'm going to say he does rebound because I feel like, I don't know if you look at the 100-yard receivers up against the New York Jets, and I don't know what your opinion is going to be on this, but they've allowed like a ton of 100-yard receivers this year. 5 different guys in 6 games. I think we see the good Diggs.
Yeah, I can see that.
The big number Diggs.
I can see that. They're going to use all their energy to try and slow down Thielen. 100 yards every game this season.
Tremaine Johnson, Buster Screen, Marcus May are all on the injury report. That can't be good.
Yeah.
Not only on the report, not even practicing, so that's not a good sign.
Yeah, they're out.
All right, I have one for you guys. Nate's long jump is more impressive than Marquise Goodwin's long jump. Let's take a look at the tape. You guys have to decide.
Give me it.
All right, so this is Nate doing the long jump versus Marquise Goodwin.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Nate's is pretty impressive.
Nate's was pretty impressive. I didn't expect that right there.
That's dope.
I tell you what, Nate.
No, he took that seriously.
Wait. Let me see it one more time.
He did, okay.
Because Goodwin had the legs going midair.
Nate's in Bugle Boy jeans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Behind the curtain, he practiced. He did practice twice.
Or
Am I shredding
Doctor's
this?
one. I don't know which one it is.
Is Nate's impressive or no?
No, we got to shred that. Shred, eat it up.
I just want to see it shredded. All right, we'll be back.
No love for Bugle Boy.
End a 4-game losing streak. We're here on Good Morning Football at NFL Films on a Thursday morning, counting down to kickoff to Week 7. Broncos, Cardinals in the desert. Mike Garafolo, Mike Robinson of GMFB Weekend kicking it. Thanks, guys, for welcoming me into your digs.
You're the best. Anytime.
It's not like you don't have the room here.
Yes, plenty of space.
You guys are short on space.
We haven't
got
really,
a little elbow space.
Unbelievable.
We haven't really explored the space of this. We hit the couches over there. We're maybe going to light the fire this weekend, supposedly.
It's not cold enough.
It's not fully operational. They say that it is, but I've never seen it.
No, it is. It's operational. Just don't have any windows, so don't put your hand in there. You'll get burnt.
Well, how do you make s'mores if there's windows? That's all I wanted.
Where's it being exhausted to?
Why are you asking? Why is that your question?
Don't even talk about that. Let's just keep it moving.
Bart Scott here. I love that you're joining us on the show, talking all things NFL, talking Week 7 slate of action. But let's start with Omar Ruiz and the lead block. Come on, Mike Rob.
Lead block.
Let's go. Let's bring in Omar Ruiz. He's in Glendale, smiling as it looks like the sun is finally out there.
I think we got to put a light on him.
At State Farm Stadium. So, Omar, both teams are struggling to start the season. Both teams also struggling with injuries. What's the latest?
Well, I think the struggles of both of these teams can be attributed to a banged-up offensive line. No different tonight for the Cardinals. Starting guard Mike Iupati won't play with a back injury. Fellow starting guard Justin Pugh has a broken hand. He's going to try to play, but won't know until he tests that hand out before the game. For the Broncos, they'll play for the first time without starting guard Ron Leary, who tore his Achilles on Sunday. He's out for the season. Tackle Jared Valdir won't play again with that knee injury. So as both teams look to get the running games going, might be a little more of a challenge. A couple other big names for the Broncos who won't play. Shane Ray on the defensive end, as well as Adam Pac-Man Jones out as well.
So much, Omar. We were talking a little bit earlier about obviously bounce backs are huge for these teams. There's a lot of veterans that are probably frustrated with how the seasons have started. You've got Larry Fitzgerald, who's looking for his first touchdown of the season, possibly tonight. Then you have Von Miller expressing his frustration. But I feel like there's a little bit more at stake even today. What about the coaching staffs in this game? Because we're hearing a lot of, stuff on Twitter and just everywhere about some hot seat action.
Well, you heard John Elway say that they have to play, the Broncos have to play tonight like they're fighting for their lives, because they are. And Vance Joseph took that to mean they're fighting for their job, something that they're trying to do every single week. So they understand what's at stake for the Broncos. For the Cardinals, meanwhile, offensive coordinator Mike McCoy's job has been called into question. When Steve Wilks was asked if Mike McCoy's job is in jeopardy, he said they're all jobs are in jeopardy if they don't start winning. Now, both quarterbacks downplaying the significance of that storyline and how it'll impact the game on the field. Case Keenum saying they're playing with urgency every single week, trying to get this Broncos season turned around after that 2-0 start. They've lost 4 in a row. Meanwhile, rookie quarterback Josh Rosen saying for the Cardinals that they just have to focus on getting better every week. They feel that they have, but he can't afford to put saving coaches' jobs into his psyche as they head into this game tonight.
Omar Ruiz, last and final question for you today. Were you really on TRL?
Of course, back in the summer of 2000, first time as an adult in New York City. I'm walking around Times Square. I stumble into this line. I'm like, what's this all about? They said it's the line for TRL, and of course that's the heyday. The TRL beach house that year was out in San Diego where I was living, but I happened to be in New York. Got invited up to the studio, and I introduced Papa Roach's Last Resort.
Stop
I think it was number 7.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. You remember that? You remember that song, right? So I'm from Sacramento. They're from Vacaville. So I tied that into the introduction. And just to, put things in perspective, this is back when Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel were first trying to promote the Man Show.
Yep.
If you remember that. So they were the guests on that show. It was a lot of fun being in Times Square, especially after being, my friends and I, we'd always place ourselves right in the shot on the beach for that beach house so we could wave to the camera on that wide shot. But then to be in the studio was a thrill. So seeing you guys do that yesterday was so much fun. Had to make a comment about that.
You've got to write a book,
reliving those glory days.
You've got to write a book. You've been everywhere and done everything. We appreciate you.
He's Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
It's a very Forrest Gumpian experience, I'll tell you that.
All right, we love having you. You're live in Glendale, bringing us the goods. Ahead of Case Keenum on one side, a rookie first-rounder, Josh Rosen, on the other. Who should we expect more from? Maybe who has higher expectations? Round 1, fight.
Well, I guess I'll take this one first. I mean, you got to have more expectations to the guy you paid, Case Keenum.
Agree.
You brought him in there to be better than what you had last year, and you're still turning the ball over at an alarming rate. Run the football, and you'll get a better Case Keenum. Play better defense, you'll get a better Case Keenum. So far, I'll let I go Case Keenum.
Talk about Keenum and expectations. I mentioned this. I talked to people in Denver. They said when they signed him, it wasn't like, oh, we hope to get the Case Keenum from Minnesota. They were hoping he would be even better. But at this point, they'll take the Case Keenum that was in Minnesota last year.
But he led the team to the NFC Championship last year, so the expectations for him going into this and being paid, though Josh Rosen is a first-rounder.
But that team was dominated by defense.
Did he lead the team, or did he just not mess it up?
There you go.
That's what it is. It's a big difference. And I think, Rosen, it's going to be expected for Rosen. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go with Rosen because, he was the guy that we all anticipated was the most pro-ready.
Yeah.
He has the big arm. He has Larry Fitzgerald. He has some weapons on the outside. They want to see some big plays from him. They want to see him take control of this offense. He's talking big. He's talked big coming into this league. He talked about his position, where he was drafted at. I want to see him do what these other starting young quarterbacks has done, and that's ignite their teams. I want to see him do what Baker Mayfield did for Cleveland. I want him to see him do what Sam Darnold did for the Jets. I want to see him open this offense up and give that franchise hope and save those guys' jobs.
There's higher expectations and a bigger need for Case Keenum, but I'm so excited to see what Rosen can do because in this game we're talking a lot about the veterans and how they're seeing things in the locker room and the disfunct going on, but there's so many fun rookies in this one. Christian Kirk, Bradley Chubb.
Christian Kirk, I love
He's amazing. He's a leading receiver on the Arizona Cardinals right now. Then you've got Josh Rosen, of course. You've got Cortland Sutton. You've got Lindsey out there running, an undrafted kid. You got to love those rookies in this game well. All right, next up, Bengals visiting the Chiefs. That is a Sunday night football game, matchup of the two amazing wide receivers, or a bunch of them really, guys. Would you build your team around A.J. Green or Tyreek Hill? Mike Garafolo, you didn't get to chime in on this during Go Route.
I didn't, so I will start. I will take, I'm going to be old man and lawn. I'm going to take the big guy. I'm going to take the traditional piece.
The well-rounded.
The guy that you have to, because traditionally the guy you have to account for, I know you got to account for the speed, is the big body receiver who also has some freakish speed to go along with it. So I'm going to take A.J. Green because I still believe that that's the kind of centerpiece. That's the traditional X-wide receiver type body that you have to account for.
Get off my lawn. Let me tell you, old man, why you're wrong. Why is the quarterback the most important person on the field? Because he touches the ball every time.
Okay.
When you think about Hill, he can affect the game because he can hurt you in the punt game.
Well, he doesn't play quarterback. What are you talking about?
But he can. I'm bringing it all back to you. This associate's degree. It's a beautiful mind. I'll tell you what. Because he can affect the game by kickoffs, punt returns, reverses, and he can catch the ball. So he can hurt you in more ways than A.J. Green can. That's why he's the more important piece, because he can give you more touches.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Tyreek Hill line up at running back and get a handoff. You're never going to see A.J. Green line up in the back and get a handoff. And I get what you're saying, right? Like, traditionally speaking, you line this guy up opposite a 3-by-1 formation, A.J. Green, by himself, and the quarterback can see, oh, they're putting two guys over there, so let me work here. That's traditionally speaking, but offenses are changing so much. I mean, Kansas City puts Tyreek Hill as the third receiver, the inside guy on a 3-by-1, and run him like horizontally and like vertically. Speedo, yeah. Run him like on an angle across the field. How do you guard that?
That was he's. You tell me, because you watch more film than I do. I peek at it. You're glued to it. He looks like he's being used as more of a complete receiver this year than he has last year as far as schematically.
No, he is. He's running, deep digs. He's running hits. I mean, he's running the route tree as opposed to doing just the
so I'd feel better about my argument last year than this year.
I don't.
Okay, good.
I'm with you with call me Grandma K, Bart Scott, because I'm right there with you. Yes, get off my lawn. Keep that music down. A commercial break, Mike Robb. Because Tyreek Hill, I'm surprised that two NFL veterans are telling me that this young kid coming in is all of a sudden better than a receiver who's played in this National Football League with not the best quarterback play or the best offensive line or the best whatever for 7 years. And out of 6 out of those 7 years has hit 1,000 yards. And in the 1 year he didn't, he was injured.
He got on that paper he's showing.
What'd that say?
Tyreek Hill has 14 touchdowns of 50 or more. He also has 3 games this year where he's held under 70 yards.
Wow! Yeah! This is not the shredder.
You can keep that. Where's the shredder?
So disrespectful.
I
had notes on here.
I'm into size. I am into red zone ability, which Tyreek Hill has, but so does A.J. Green, and he's done it for 7 seasons in and out, and more than anything, I'm into consistency, and that's something Tyreek Hill's never proven to us.
The question was, what do you build around? It's tougher to build around.
A complete receiver is what
I don't want to say it. I'm going to say it because it's going to come off. I don't want to call him a complimentary piece because he's just such a.
He's not.
See what I mean? He's not a complimentary piece.
Well, see,
because he's playing really well and they're being used differently. But if you're going to build around, give me the X guy.
He's not Ted Ginn Jr. He's not a one-trick pony.
No, he's not. Well, I tell you this. If I'm an Andy Reid team, I build around a Tyreek Hill. If I'm a different play caller, I build around a bigger receiver.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill is perfect for the new age offense that's dominating our league right now. And I always say, Jeezy, you hear me? Look what won the Super Bowl last year. In youth football and in high school, that particular offense has been happening for the last 25 years. So it's finally made it to the National Football League, and that's why guys like Tyreek Hill will continue to be dominant in this league.
Times are changing.
Your opinion. We're going to call it a draw.
I got nothing. I got nothing for the next question.
She don't rip everything.
I got nothing.
Come at me, bro.
20. This one's in your wheelhouse. You don't need notes for this.
Listen, Bart, the last time we saw Drew Brees, he was breaking records on the field. Things figured to be a little bit tougher this week in Baltimore. You alluded to this earlier. Who has a better shot at getting another Super Bowl ring? Drew Brees, Joe Flacco?
That's tough because Drew Brees, I think he has a 2-year window. Joe Flacco has a window this year, and then I think he'll be relocating in the next couple of years as Lamar Jackson is right on his tail. So this is tougher than you think. I'm going to go with Flacco just because of the youth, and he has a big arm, and eventually he'll find another organization to go to in a couple of years where he can have another shot at a Super Bowl.
Well, guys, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
It's my turn. I'm going to go with Drew Brees, Bart. I do think his window's smaller, obviously. He's
like 80 years old.
He is, right?
The way that team looks, they don't need a big window.
But if you think about it, right, each offseason we get some rules to make sure that these guys play even longer. So I'm assuming something may happen or some rule may happen where this guy can continue to go out there and play. And then you couple that with Sean Payton. Oh, and then you also team that up with this dominant run game that we saw last year, Mark Ingram being back. As long as Drew Brees can play complementary football. When he's the show, when that passing game is the show, the defense looks like it looked not too long ago, right? So if they can just lean on this run game, I think you win the close games with Drew Brees. So I got to go with Drew Brees.
But can he win outside of the dome?
Yeah. when they're running the football.
And he may have to. Now,
he's going to have to.
It'll be nice weather at the Coliseum in January if they got to go there. But I'm looking at the Rams. I'm looking at the Eagles. I'm looking at the Vikings. This is a tough road for the Saints team to have to potentially go through.
They still got to get out of their division, too.
They're rolling right now. Are you guys crazy? This team is 4-1. They've scored 76 points in the last 2 weeks.
Let's see what they look like this week.
Last time we saw them on the field.
The Redskins didn't know the difference between cover 2 and cover 3.
How did they look against the Giants? How many points did they put up against the Giants?
They're rolling right now. And they got Mark Ingram back to balance that offense, like you said. I think that I have them going to the Super Bowl this year.
Well, then that's why you're defending.
No, that's why you're defending them. So you got to defend your point.
I mean, I was wrong about David Johnson being MVP. I might as well be right about my Super Bowl
it's the law of averages. You're probably going to be right about that if you were wrong about the other thing, Kay. You're never wrong about everything.
Yeah, David Johnson probably not the MVP this year.
That's okay.
I'd say that's not happening. So maybe the Saints and Chargers duke it out.
Maybe Drew Brees is, and maybe you're right
in
about
Atlanta.
The other one. There you go.
I guess we have to wrap it up now, guys. We'll be back after this. More talk on Thursday night. Deal with it in our touch.
My mother got over breast cancer. It's a big deal.
I really love how the NFL has embraced all types of cancer, not alienating anybody. It used to be just breast cancer. I love that they're including everybody. They all have a great story.
All right, great stuff, and we continue to do that, of course.
Right,
you can go and bid on items and things as well. My mom, a 2-time cancer survivor as well, so it affects everyone. We all know somebody affected by it. So please go there and protect and prevent yourself. All right, time for Will Selva out in the newsroom in Los Angeles this morning. Will, hello.
Hey, what's going on there, Kay? And also just a reminder that 100% of the proceeds of those items go to the American Cancer Society. So,
kind of rubbing me the wrong way, but everything was all good just a week ago. But now, all of a sudden, you know, we have one loss, or we have a loss that we know we're capable of winning the game, and then everybody wants to kind of, you know, ask questions about deep passes, ask questions about, you know, certain players. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we got to play Carolina Panther football.
now he's decreased his percentage of deep pass attempts since 2016, but is enjoying a 65% completion percentage. Either way, you hate to see grumpy Cam there. So with that said, does he have a legitimate beef here? Are we making too much of a big deal that he's not throwing the ball downfield?
Gentlemen?
Well, I believe so. I think he has to open up this offense to help that run game. When you're throwing short, guys are just going to start sitting on the sticks and jumping routes. So, you know, and that's not usually what you're accustomed to seeing when you think about a Norv Turner, you know, offense. You think about 7-step drop, throwing the ball down the field in a power run game. Yep. You know, he has to add that element to that game if they're going to go anywhere in that division.
Norv's adapted himself to Cam, though, and I like that. I like a coach that doesn't sit there and says, okay, here's what I do. I don't care what the personnel is.
Sound like Jerry
Michael
Jones.
Robinson's not here, but trust me, he's off camera going, yes, Jeezy, yes, you've been listening to me.
Hey, where'd this one go?
That's what I'm saying. He's off camera.
Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is.
I'm right here, man.
Oh, I thought it was footprint.
You know, I got it where we carried you. Footprint. You know, you know, I got to do a little tease of real Mike Rob report. Remember, continue to get your questions in. But here's a sample question from Alex. Okay, which
TNF matchup by watching that full episode of The Drive to Thursday night, streaming now on Amazon Prime Video. Then, of course, catch the game on Fox, on NFL Network, and streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Okay, it is time for the long-awaited, highly touted Mike Rob report, where people are texting in questions that you will answer. I have a question. How do you survive in 20-degree weather? Because I'm breathing air.
No, you're not, because if you was, they would see it on TV. They would see it on TV, Kate. But it is cold up in here, but I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, you guys know, Real Mike Rob Report, we've made it to the week show of Good Morning Football. So every week, I answer all your questions on my social media, and then I come on live TV, and I answer them on live television. So first question, here we go. All right, we're going to go back to Alex that we teased right before the break. Which non-NFL athlete could have been a Hall of Fame football player, and at what position? I'm going to go with
Sir Charles Barkley. He could have been an excellent tight end. Do you know, a big guy like that, being able to move and shake and then create separation at the top of his routes? I think Charles Barkley would have been a mean tight end. Kind of remind me of Dick Buckus or something. Not Dick Buckus. Mike Dicker. That's what I meant to say. Mike Dicker.
You're just thinking of butt because he had a big butt.
You said that, not me. You said that, not me. Okay, Mr. Balloon Hands. Is Dak Prescott a fake or is he the real deal? Led his team to a 40 spot on the #1 defense but lacks consistency week to week. Your thoughts? Look, Dak Prescott is the real deal. He is the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. It's all in the play calling. It's all in if they're going to be able to use the creativity or use the abilities of Dak to create a more creative offense. That's all they have to do. Dak, continue to run the ball. He had almost 80 yards running last week. Continue to run the football and things will open up in the passing game. Next question. What we got? Okay, Lucas. All right. Pineapple on pizza. Whoa. Okay, that was a little bit of a curveball, but it's okay. Put pineapple on pizza. It's fruit, right? I'm always a proponent of eating fruit. I'm a vegetarian.
Do you eat pizza?
Huh? Do I eat pizza?
Yeah.
I do eat pizza from time to time.
Like cauliflower crust pizza?
Not cauliflower crust. I haven't eaten cauliflower crust yet. You got to show me some stuff about the cauliflower.
Real cheese or soy cheese?
Look, man, y'all messing up my segment, all right? We gonna go to the next question. How about that? All right, next question. Okay, what's up, John? Regarding the Patriots' offense and defensive lines, which side needs the most improvement and why? Can they contend for the postseason as is? Thanks, go Pats. Yes, they can contend for the postseason. Why? Because they still have Tom Brady. They still have Bill Belichick. But if you're talking about the offensive, defensive lines, look, I think they need some pass rushers. They need to be able to get after the quarterback to help that back end some, because the back end of the Patriots defense, they do struggle with speed. The Kansas City Chiefs kind of exposed that. Hopefully you'll see the Chicago Bears kind of use their speed to expose that also. But they need some pass rushing help on this defensive line. This offensive line, Shaq Mason, I gotta throw you some love, big dog. You are straight pancaking people out there. Next question, what do we got? Okay, what's up, Wes? What chances do you give the Seahawks at making the playoffs? Go Hawks. Hey, look, man, I love my Seahawks, but it ain't looking good, right? It ain't looking good. It ain't always about how you guys are playing, but you got a beast of an animal leading that division in the Los Angeles Rams, and I just don't see you guys. I don't see the Seahawks actually winning the NFC West, possibly a wild card, but they got to go out and they got to continue to run the football. Russell Wilson has not ran the football much. I think as he continues to get healthy during the season, you'll start to see him moving around and make some of those unpredictable plays that we're used to seeing Russell Wilson make. Next question. What do we got? Okay, what's going on? Renault, okay. What is your fondest memory of Paul Allen? Wow, man. First of all, got to send some thoughts and prayers out to the Paul Allen Foundation and everybody connected with him. Paul Allen was a great man. Not only was he great for the football world, he was great for mankind in general. Always giving, always encouraged his players like myself to give back to the community. One of my fondest memories is walking in, whether we won or whether we lost a game, he was the first face that we saw walking into the locker room. He always had a big smile. One of the big things that I would always do to him after a big win is yell like, "What's up, Mr. Allen? What's going on? We did it." And I always did that because I just thought it was funny that I could, talk to my boss that way. But he was a great man, always encouraged us to be ourselves, always encouraged us to help out the world. It's bigger than just football. It's bigger than just what's going on in your small world of influence. So shout out to the Allen family, friends and family with Paul Allen.
Mike Rob, a lot of people thought he was an absentee owner.
No, man, he was there.
Very involved. A week before his passing, he had a checklist. He's going down, speaking to upper management. Where are we? Blah, 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 blah. So right to the end, passionate about that team, passionate about that fan base. At the NFL owners meetings, they were talking about what's going to happen. They did not have a formal discussion. Roger Goodell said it would have been inappropriate to have that discussion.
It would have been.
But owners on the side saying that, Paul Allen was all about the city of Seattle. They can't imagine that team winding up somewhere else, even if it is so.
I mean, he grew up in the Pacific Northwest.
Had the team there.
Yeah, and we talk about community building and stuff like that. That's what you do. You go get some money, bring everything back to your community and build from there. But there's one thing we used to do as players, Bart. We used to always, when he came into the stadium, right, because, rich people be having people around him and stuff, right? So we would always see him. He'd only have one guy with him. And so we would always have little side bets on where his security is. You'd see him on the second row.
Really?
You see a guy up there. You see guys all around.
A guy eating popcorn, you're like, that's him.
You look like, that's him. That's a security guy right there. But it was always a game we played. It was fun.
From the outside looking in, what we loved and what I admired about him is he always empowered his players to speak their mind and stand for something. So, I think the NFL world lost a great man.
That stadium's a great venue in large part because that's what he wanted. He wanted that to be a loud.
Yeah, that was cheating. So that was using technology.
That
echo bounce off, come back down. That was cheating.
I used to see Ray go, you can't hear nothing.
Ryan Tannehill for the Dolphins. The other component of the story is this. The NFL is looking into how the Dolphins handled Tannehill's injury in Week 6. The team listing Tannehill as a full participant in Wednesday's practice and Thursday's practice before listing him as limited on Friday. Tannehill, of course, did not play last week. Meanwhile, the NFL's Fall League meeting ended Wednesday, and as always, Commissioner Roger Goodell held his traditional wrap-up news conference in the midst of record high-scoring games, close ones at that, and TV ratings that are much higher. He was asked about the state of the league and the controversial national anthem policy.
The focus of both the Players Association, the NFL, and all of our clubs and our players has been to focus on the efforts that our players have continually brought as their issues in their communities and how can we make our communities better. They have been incredibly passionate about that. They have brought these issues greater awareness, and they are working in their communities to try to make their communities better.
The TV ratings seem to be up this year. What do you attribute that to, and is that a relief for you guys?
I obviously believe that the quality of the game is obviously a big driver to all of this. The quality of the stars, and I think we see so many players playing at an incredibly high level and teams playing at an incredibly high level. The competitiveness of our league, all of those are contributing factors.
Well, the Jacksonville backfield is certainly banged up. Leonard Fournette did not practice on Wednesday as he continues to deal with a hamstring injury. Meantime, DJ Yeldon also sat out practice with a foot and ankle issue. That leaves Jamal Charles and David Williams the only healthy running backs on their roster. Now, their vaunted defense giving up 40 points last week against the Cowboys as Jacksonville has dropped 2 straight games, sitting at 3-3 on the season. They get set to take on Deshaun Watson and the Texans, but linebacker Talvin Smith not hitting that panic button just yet.
We good. You know what I mean? We 3-3. To me, that's still good in the league. Like, it's not like we're 0-6 or 1-5 or something. You know, we battled. We came out the second quarter and then start off right, then get the job done. But I think we're going to be fine. Again, we just got to overcome these injuries, get these guys around our program, and just get back to winning.
Any excuse to get Talvin Smith on the show. Any shape, way, or form. 100%. I could hear him read something from a restaurant menu, and it'll sound cool. And I'll want to be motivated.
If you're listening, you're going to London. Good Morning Football will be in London. If there's any way to get some high tea with Talvin Smith and Kay Adams, let's do it.
Yes. Let's make it happen.
I know.
Let's make this happen.
10 toes down. We'll appreciate you. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Tonight, Thursday Night Football, kicking off Week 7. Case Keenum and the Broncos, they have a 4-game losing streak that they want to snap facing the Cardinals as Mike Garafolo just hit his elbow and that must have hurt. That did not.
It wasn't
I'm
quite.
Looking at you, kid.
Don't do no Josh Allen on us.
I know, man. Don't have to be out for a few weeks.
He had a big thing on his arm yesterday.
You just went full.
Yeah, got hit it a little. It didn't hit directly on the funny bone, but it hit right near it. So.
Just had to bring that up on national television.
Yeah,
sorry.
I distracted you. So.
Let's talk about Case Keenum and the biggest difference between him this year and him last year. I have a feeling interceptions probably have something to do with it.
Yeah, he's taking a lot more chances this year. And it seemed like last year when the narrative was out that Mike Zimmer was, not going to just name him the starter outright. Now we know why, right? It seems because Case Keenum needed that competition. He needed that He needed that adversity to kind of help him out. Now, look, we have this tape right here. He's going to force this ball down the seam. This guy is not open. No. Like, he's not even close to being open. If anything, look the defensive back off and throw it outside that way it sails out of bounds if you have to do it. But you try these types of passes when there's no competition behind you and you know you're not going to get benched. You know that you've gotten your paycheck and it's all good. And so I just think that from a management of Case Keenum this offseason, the Broncos may have messed up by not having a real threat behind him, because now he's just taking chances, and now that they're losing, he's taking even more chances to try to throw these games.
He's mailing it in because he just got paid. Like,
no, I don't necessarily say mailing it in.
Let me go more, since you just showed the tape, more X's and O's. What are you saying what Pat Shurmur should do with Eli Manning? You've been saying move the point, right? Yep. Move the point for Eli Manning, because he did it last year with Case Keenum. Broncos should be doing more of that. More nakeds, more run action, more of that
more
stuff.
match protection,
for him.
throwing the football down the field.
And I thought that was going to be something they were going to do. Maybe eventually they will. Maybe even start.
But what's the first thing you do when you get money? You try and prove that you're worth it. You're trying to do validation. So now he's trying to prove that he's not just a game manager. So now he's trying to be the reason that they win, not just the reason they didn't lose.
Well, you said Dak was doing that before he got the money. So you're saying it happens after. So it happens before and after the money.
Well,
Dak's a little different, though.
Dak's trying to get the money.
I don't think it's just him, but whatever it is, it's the turnovers. Last year, they didn't do that. That's how they won. This year, I'm looking at they lost to the Chiefs, a 5-1 team, by 4 points, Mike Robb. They lost to a 6-0 Rams team by 3 points. It's those fumbles, which he has 4 of. Last year, he had 1 all season long, and turning the ball over. But who's telling him to do too much? Or how's that it's that offense making mistakes.
I don't think there's anybody telling him, but I do agree with Bart. It's
you put pressure on yourself.
You put pressure on yourself. Yeah. It's your subconscious. Jeezy. You learning, man.
We back in the Matrix.
Oh, man, you learning.
What was that?
I got high. Justin Pugh.
Can we rerun that? The ride Josh Rosen took with Carissa Thompson as he gets set to host Case Keenum and the Broncos tonight on Thursday Night Football. In this clip, you'll find out who Rosen looks up to and who he thinks he looks like.
You can't be awestruck when you're in the National Football League, because these are guys that you're going up against. But who's a quarterback that you've always respected and sort of look at as somebody that you would want to emulate?
I mean, growing up, I was a huge Peyton Manning fan. That was my guy. But as of recently, Aaron Rodgers, I think, is
Never heard of him, but okay.
Yeah, he's a kind of average quarterback.
Do people tell you that you guys look alike?
I have heard it.
Yeah, I think you guys look alike.
I've heard, like, for some reason, I heard a Eli and Aaron
combo platter.
Yeah.
And Eli and Aaron offspring. Those are good genes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's working off a good gene pool.
Yeah.
You spent time with Aaron in the offseason, didn't you? And what was something that he helped you with? Because that's a great person to solicit information or advice from.
I mean, in my opinion, he's the best to ever do it from like a sheer quarterback talent perspective. I know there's the whole championships and all that, but as a pure quarterback, I think Aaron's the best to ever do it. It's not even close.
Why?
Because what he does on the field is art. It's not even like, no one comes even close to replicating it. A lot of what you're trying to do is just build in to make it like more reaction-based rather than thought-based. And do you just try to basically mess with yourself throughout practice and try to create those situations?
Yeah, I need a little stimulation out there.
Yeah.
I've been at it 13 years.
There's got to be like cool people you now have in your phone, like celebrities and things like that.
I've gotten pretty cool with Miles Teller as of recently.
Oh yeah, great actor.
I think Whiplash might be one of my favorite movies.
So good. Would you ever want to be an actor?
Like starring in a really awesome movie, I would love to like have my own podcast.
You could have your own podcast now. I'll give you a podcast. Let's start one right now.
What
would our podcast be called, Josh?
Our podcast?
Our part. I mean, why are you saying you? I mean, this is our thing.
I feel like a podcast is like an excuse to just talk to really awesome people.
Mm-hmm. We just started a podcast called Millennials.
Millennials.
You can gear up for the Broncos and Cardinals TNF matchup by watching that full episode of The Drive to Thursday night. It's streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Then catch the game tonight on Fox, on NFL Network, and streaming on Amazon Prime Video. So all season long, you know Nate, Peter, Kyle, and I are pretty competitive. We drafted 3 running backs who we thought would be in the hunt for the rushing title hunt. Like Kareem Hunt won the title last year. Let's take a look at our picks. Yeah, mine aren't doing so great. Dalvin Cook can't stay on the field. Philip Lindsay is the thing, so Royce Freeman for me is out, and Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen.
I know.
Taking all of that work.
Well, the offense changed out there in Chicago.
Yeah, so we're checking in on how we're doing. Here's the chase, and Russ. Dun, 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 dun,
go, Le'Veon, go.
Yeah, Le'Veon probably will not be out of the gate. Yeah, oh, there he is, just standing still. And, of course, Todd Gurley leading the pack. Zeke Elliott not far behind. 208 yards on Sunday for Gurley, by the way, putting him in sole possession of the lead. And we will check in and see where everybody stands after Week 7. Any thoughts on this, guys?
I tell you what, watch out for Saquon Barkley. I know he's getting all-purpose yards, but they're going to have to start running the ball downhill and taking the ball out of Eli's hands so you can set that play action up down the field late.
I agree. And I also think Kareem Hunt, his numbers will go up later on in the season as people figure out what Andy Reid is doing. They're just going to turn around and hand the football.
And that's the weather change.
Yeah.
You guys can tweet the show at #GMFB. Stay here on NFL Network all day, getting you set for Thursday night action.
Yes, listen, one last thing I want to say before we check out here. In the media, it's competitive, but you've got people when you're in close quarters and become close acquaintances and friends. Rich Tandler, NBC Sports Washington, you may have seen this news, covered the Redskins for a number of outlets for a number of years. He passed suddenly. This guy was a great guy. That media group down there, they actually have a day where you got to bring in food for one another, and Rich always guarded the plastic, I don't call it silverware, the plasticware, and I would go out, Mike Robbie always making fun of me, I'm always eating. I'd go out and get lunch, I'd come back and go, oh, I don't have a fork, and Rich would just slowly open the drawer.
Oh, wow.
There you go, right here. He was a fantastic guy. He will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers to the Tandler family.
I'm sorry for your loss and that loss of that family, a huge contributor in that area into the world of sports. We'll be back. Are you going to come back?